So hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be making this hello world. And if you are completely new to programming, this is actually the first thing that you'll really ever program in any language. So I thought that maybe there's some of you that want to get into Unity or coding in general and you don't even know where to start. This video is for you. So enjoy. Alright, so you've created a new project and this is what you see. So first thing, let's check which layout would work for you. So there's a 2x3 which moves everything to the side. We have the 4 set, which is really too much actually, unless you have a massive screen. We have the default view, which most people use, I believe. And then we have the tall, which kind of works if you also have a bigger screen. And then we have wide, which just gives you a nice big view of your game view. Personally, I prefer the 2x3 and I just move the project folder or the project tab underneath the hierarchy and then I just size it up. But we'll change the size to perfectly fit our scaled resolution, which will be 1920 by 1080, normally full HD because it just scales really nicely into all the others. So this is the kind of view that I enjoy the most. You just pick whichever one works for you. You have the same tabs in all of them, so except this one you have the game view as well, which I just quite prefer actually, if I just want to play the game in the little view on the left. So the packages folder, don't worry too much about that now. The assets folder is the most important. So first thing, we just need to change the scenes to underscore scenes. This might seem a bit pointless, but we want our scenes to be right at the top. So it's just really easy to reference it. Then we're going to create a folder and we're going to name it underscore scripts so that both of these folders are right at the top for quick, easy access. Alright, so now you can see both of our folders are there in our assets folder. And now you're going to see the main camera. It just kind of points into nowhereness because there's nothing in the scene yet. But it will fill up quickly enough eventually when you get to actually really adding anything. It starts looking more interesting. So first we're going to do is we're going to add a user interface. So we want to add a text, just a basic text, and you will see that a canvas is made for you. So now the canvas scales with the resolution that you set. But for it to do this properly, we're going to have to change a few settings. So we want everything to scale according to our resolution. So when the resolution goes up, everything gets scaled up and so forth. So let's change our reference resolution to 1920 by 1080 because that is our reference resolution. And if you don't know, 4K is basically just double that. And we're going to set that the match to 0.5. And everything else we can just leave right like that. So now we can change our resolution that we just want to view our game in. And as you can see, everything just scales perfectly, and there's actually the text is in there, but it just might be really small for you to see if you're viewing this on a mobile device. But don't worry, we're going to make it bigger now. So there is the new text. So we want to make that nice and big in the middle of the screen. So first thing, let's just change that to 2D and then we can just zoom out. So now the view is stuck in a 2D form or view, a 2D view, so you don't get anything in 3D. But we need that because every UI is basically 2D. So let's just change that to the center. So hold Control and then click, and there we go, it's in the middle. Alright, so now we want to just scale it up a little bit because we want to make our text larger. So there we go. And then we can change our text size to 50. Alright, and then we center it. There we go. Now it's exactly in the middle of our reference resolution. So now if we scale it up, it's going to be perfect. But actually, we can make this even bigger. Since this is the only thing that's going to be in our scene, we can make it quite large. Just change that. There we go. So yeah, this tutorial is not meant to be fancy. It's just meant to be practical. But if this is your first time writing any form of code, this is probably like the most exciting thing. I remember for myself, the first thing I ever coded, I thought I was like a rocket scientist. It was like the coolest thing I've ever done. I don't know, it was just a whole new world. So I really hope you guys feel the same. And that being said, let's write your first line of code. Yeah, ooh, exciting. All right, so we want to change this text to say hello world. So let's open our scripts folder, say create new, and then say C# script. And in there, we're going to say change text script. We're just going to call it that so we know exactly what the script does. And then just give it a double click and Visual Studio will open up. All right, let's just click it again and it will open if it didn't open the first time. So we can remove all this code in the middle because I'll walk you through what every little bit does. So first of all, we want a reference to our text that we want to change. So we need to tell the computer what text we are wanting to change. So we're going to say public because we don't want it to only be accessible to this piece of code. We want it to be able to change this object. So we're going to say public text, and text is underlined in red because we need to import our Unity engine .ui. This just means that we can access the user interface object classes. So then we can change some of that, and let's just call it hello world, maybe. And let's just change that name to be more. There we go, text to change. There we go. So then we know that's the text that we want to change. So that is now our name for our object or our game object that we want to change, our text. So then we have a start method. This is the first method that will run, and we're going to reference that text to change. And because it's not this object, we need to get its component, which means that we change the properties of a component that we're fetching. So it's a text component, and we called it text to change, and we're receiving that component. So now we have access to it, and now we can change whatever it will allow us to change, which will be the text in this case. So let's create a new method called public void. Don't worry about the void part for now. That's just type in void, all right? Just do it. We're going to call it change text now. Put our brackets in, and now we want a reference to that, and then we want to change the text. So we're going to say text to change dot text because that's the part of the component that we want to access. And then we're just going to say equals because everything works from right to left with coding. So our left value is our final answer. So it's basically like saying x is equal to whatever. And we're going to say hello world. So when we click on this change text method, change text now, it needs to change the text. So we need to add a button so that we can actually interact with the program. Just change that button name to change text button because it's a button and we like to call it nice things. And we're going to change the text to change like text. I think that's descriptive enough. And there we go. Now we just need to move it down a little bit. So you can press W on your keyboard and just move it down a little bit, and then on the y-axis we can just move it to -200 just so it's nicely placed. And then we can make it a little bit bigger because these are the only things that's going to be in our scene, so we want to make it nice and large, even though it looks really boring. But don't worry about the boringness. That's just visuals. That you can learn. We'll go over something like that later on. Alright, so now we see this on-click method in our button. What does that mean? When you click on it, it's going to do something. So now we need the script. This needs to get access to our code. Now we can drag and drop it right in there, that's fine. But we want to access that component, and if we just drag it in, we can't access it. So we need to actually put our script on top of our button so that we can get reference to our text that we want to change. As you can see, There's a gap there, so we're going to drag text1 into text to change into that little block. It's just going to go blue, and then bam, there we go. Now we have a reference to that text. But now we need to still put that code in that onClick method. So we just drag the object or the game object where we put that code, and there we go. It says no function, and this is a function. Change text now is a function. So we need to access the script and just select change text now. Now bear in mind, if you made that private, it will not appear in that list. It needs to be public. And then everything should be perfect. Just hit save and play. And now if we click change text, there we go, hello world, and voila, you have written your first program. Now if you keep clicking on the button, nothing will happen, but yeah, you could just keep running the program and then it will keep changing the text to hello world. If you want to, you can create another button, just repeat the process and make it say something else, and then you've already edited your first program. So, well done. Thanks for joining me, and thanks to all our new subscribers, and happy coding. See you all next week. Cheers.